Hello. Hello, and welcome to our video following up on the town hall meetings that were held at the end of January. On the county's website, you will find a packet of information that was handed out during our meetings. In this video, we'll be covering many of the questions that were asked during our live event. We will also briefly touch on some of the updates of new bills that were introduced since those meetings took place. However, if you find you have more questions, we are happy to meet or take your calls to get the information you need. If you have a club or professional organization and any of us or all of us would be happy to come and speak at your event or your group. Our goal is to help each of you get the information you need to help make the best decision for you and your family. We want to keep this video brief, so let's go ahead and get started. I am Tracy Fletcher. I'm the Albany County Treasurer, and I'm joined with my two colleagues.
I'm Chelsea Matthews, the Albany County Assessor.
And I'm Kayla White, your county clerk.
All right, perfect. We're going to start with Chelsea and some updates and information on property tax bills.
Yes, good morning. So as Tracy mentioned, on our website, there is the handout that we referenced during our town hall meetings. I think as you're watching this video, it's really important for you to pull up that handout. All of the things that I discussed are on pages 2 through 7. These pages in the handout talk about the 7 different bills that were put forth by legislation as well as the People's Initiative. It's important to note that a couple more bills have showed up since our town hall meetings. So if you're interested in reading those bills, they are House Bill 103, Senate File 54, Senate File 63, and House Bill 127. And you can find them on the legislation website at www.wyoleg.gov. So that's wyoleg.gov. Legislation session begins on February 12th and it commences on March 8th. So we should know if any of these bills pass or which ones fail by March 8th. In the handout, you'll find a brief explanation of each bill, keywords in the bill that are important, any requirements needed to qualify, any restrictions, if you need to apply, where you would apply, as well as that due date. You will also see what the estimated benefit would look like for the property owner, as well as the estimated effect it will have on the taxing authorities to receive money from property taxes. So next, I'd like to address some of the questions I received during our town hall meetings for clarification purposes. So the first bill that you'll see listed on the handout is House Joint 1. It's a resolution to make a change in our Constitution regarding how residential property is valued. If this bill passes, you will see this on your ballot in 2024 to be voted on by the people of Wyoming. In the handout, you will see House Bill 18. In order for this to pass, the change in our Constitution must pass. The same goes for the new bill, House Bill 103. All of the other bills listed in the handout are written as exemptions and therefore do not need the constitutional change and do not need House Joint Resolution number 1 to pass in order to move forward. The People's Initiative on page 5 in the handout is not a bill put forth by our legislators, but rather an initiative being brought forth by the people of Wyoming. If the initiative collects enough signatures from the people of Wyoming by February 12th, 2024, then you will see this on your 2024 ballot to be voted by the people. And Kayla has a quick update on those signatures for us.
So the signatures that are required statewide are 29,730 signatures. This is calculated by 15% of the total votes cast in the 2022 general election. Albany County's threshold is 1,922 signatures. And then the distribution requirement is 15% of those voting in 2022 general election is at least 2/3 of the counties. So 16 of the 23 counties have to meet that threshold. Correspondence from the committee applicants is that they may submit and review for certification before the legislative session begins.
Thanks, Kayla. Okay, so most of these bills are effective for January 1st, 2025. House Bill 45 and its mirror bill on the Senate side, Senate File 63, are effective for 2024. And then the new bill, House Bill 127, is also effective for 2024. The majority of these bills and the People's Initiatives are written as exemptions. So that means that the benefit will be applied to your tax bill before you actually receive your bill. The state property tax refund program, as well as the county property tax refund programs, are refunds. So that means that you would have to pay your bill in full on time in order to receive that benefit. Most of these bills define what primary residence means, what ownership means. So if you have questions on those terms, I would refer you to those bills. And if any of these bills pass, the Department of Revenue will write rules and regulations on how assessors are to implement the bill, as well as any clarification needed on definitions. And then also, I think it's important for everyone to keep in mind that when we are setting values for your property, we're using sales from prior years. So we are following the market, we're not setting the market. And once your property value is determined, you then take that total value and multiply it by 9.5% because Wyoming is a fractional state. So once you multiply your total property value by 9.5%, you get your assessed value. You then take your assessed value and multiply it by your tax district's mill levy, and this equals the amount of property tax due. The amount of mills a taxing authority can collect is outlined in statute. It's also important to know that we are not a budget-based taxation system. This is where all taxing authorities would come up with their budget, and then we would back into the amount of taxes that you would owe. Rather, we are a rate-based taxation system, which means your property values are determined, you pay your taxes on that value, and then the taxing authorities have to budget within the amount of tax received. Both systems really have positives and negatives, but it's important to know that Wyoming is not a budget-based taxation system. And then finally, I just want to say, if you're looking over this packet or you're reading those new bills and you have any questions or need something clarified, please contact my office. You can call us, you can email us, or you can just stop in and we are happy to help you. And I think Tracy is going to go over county budget information.
Thank you, Chelsea. In that packet, I presented on pages 8 through 15 and the very last page, which is a long legal size page. Much of this information is a whole lot of numbers and a lot of charts that we won't cover in this video because, like I said, we want to keep this brief. But I will review the questions, and if you have further questions beyond this, absolutely please reach out to us and we will get those answers for you. One of the biggest questions that were asked the night of the town halls was, if the money isn't coming in, where will the amounts come from, or how will the county make up those revenues? If changes do happen to these residential property taxes, that should not affect the other classes of property in Albany County, such as industrial, commercial. Those taxes would continue to increase as they have in the past. This would help in offsetting those lost revenues. However, that might not be enough. There may be a need for additional measures to overcome any shortfalls, which leads to the next question of potential deficits and concerns of budgets shrinking, especially for our first responders. For the county, the Board of County Commissioners are the ones who make all the budgetary decisions for each office or department within our county government. This may mean they decide to cut budgets. It may mean they could consider furloughs or layoffs. It could mean that they choose to use reserves to offset those deficits. Those are the tough decisions that the county commissioners would need to make. In my role as treasurer and Kayla's role as budget officer, we work very closely with the county commissioners to help them make informed decisions on the county's budget and finances. The next most frequently asked question was, what are the sources of our grants and what are the grant match ratios for those? Albany County, we have many grants from various sources, including federal and state offices. We've had a few private grants in the past, but we do not have any currently active. And the match ratio varies with each grant, but most commonly we see an 80-20 or 50-50 match, meaning 80% would come from the funding source, such as the federal government, and then 20% would be matched by the county government. And then 50-50 is 50-50 split between both. Another question was, are there a cap on the amount of reserves we can accumulate? No, for counties, there's not a cap on our reserves that we may accumulate. However, our informal goal has been to have enough reserves to cover 6 months of our expenditures should anything happen that we need to have those reserves utilized. The last most frequently asked question I received at the town hall meetings was, do the property taxes go to the state? No, the property taxes do not go to the state except for one levy. One levy is a 12 mills that goes to the Wyoming Department of Education, and those monies come back to our community for the benefit of our school district. All other taxes collected stay local and are shared by taxing entities here in Albany County, such as the county, the school district, the hospital, and the fire district, among others. That is all the questions that I received during the town halls, but if you find you have more questions, please feel free to reach out. And now we'll move on to Kayla.
Thanks, Tracy. I will summarize what was discussed in our town hall meetings, as well as answer some questions that were asked. Document alerts is a system whereby people can sign up with their first, last name, as well as if they have a company name that they would like to sign up for. Provide a valid email address, and if any document is recorded in my real estate department with that name, you will receive an email notification that a document was recorded. It will be up to the individual to investigate further on the document that was recorded. There has been one incident of property transfer fraud in Albany County, and therefore feel that this is a great service to provide to the public free of charge. This should be available in the next couple of months, and I'll also be placing information on this in your assessment notices that will go out in April that the county treasurer or the county assessor mails out. Next, I would like to talk a little bit about some laws that changed in 2021, as well as some that will go into effect this election cycle. IDs, of course, are required to vote in Wyoming. The list of acceptable forms of identification are listed on page 16 in your handout. Just note that in 2023, the Wyoming concealed carry permit was added to that list. You do have to present ID to vote when at an absentee polling place, at the polls on election day, or if you are coming into my office to pick up an absentee ballot. The party change bill passed in 2023, and what that means to Wyoming voters is that this law prohibits an elector from declaring or changing their party for a primary election between the first day of filing and the last day of the primary election. Or the day of the primary election, not the last day. Therefore, the last day to change your party or withdraw your voter registration is May 15, 2024. Senate File 153 passed in 2023 regarding the distribution of absentee ballots. It decreases the time frame from 45 days to 28 days. Due to federal law, our UOCAVA voters, which are your domestic, overseas military and overseas citizens, will still have that 45 days. Therefore, UOCAVA ballots will be mailed out on July 5th for the primary and September 20th for the general. And our regular absentee ballots will be mailed out on July 3rd for the primary and October 8th for the general. Of course, all ballots must still be received by 7 p.m. To the county clerk. They can be dropped off at my office in the secure drop box, which is located on the east side of my election building, or they can be placed in the mail. The primary election is August 20th and the general election is November 5th. Another thing that is different in my office is we're using pinpoint addressing. It's now being used. This means that only addresses that are currently assigned to a residence by the Albany County GIS may be used to register to vote. E-poll books will be utilized in 2024. This allows for e-poll book judges to register and check in voters all in one system. And when someone registers to vote, it will run their information through the Department of Health, Department of Transportation, as well as the Department of Corrections. The Board of County Commissioners have allowed primary and general election to be declared as an in-house workday so that we can utilize county employees as e-poll book judges. The Secretary of State proposed an amendment to Chapter 2 of the rules regarding voter registration and residency. If adopted, these rules will require someone's address on their ID to match what is on their voter registration application. If it does not match, they will be required to prove residency per the list on page 17. There is current legislation regarding durational residency requirements. It's House Bill 38. This will require someone to be a bona fide resident in the state of Wyoming for at least 30 days prior to the day that they wish to vote. The elector attests under oath that their voter registration on their voter registration application that they have resided in Wyoming for 30 days. And per federal law, if a voter does not meet the 30-day requirement, they still are entitled to vote for president and vice president. This is the information that we discussed during the town hall meeting. If you have any questions regarding elections or anything else that I do in my office, titles, land transactions, please, you can always stop up. I have an open door policy. My staff is always willing to help as well. But I want to thank you for those that attended the meeting and those that are listening today for the information.
Perfect. Thank you, Kayla. That concludes our informational video that we're doing today, and we hope we found this information very helpful to making your decisions. Like Kayla said, I believe we all have open door policies, and we're willing to meet with anybody and answer any questions. We just want to help the people get the information they need or want to hear from their government. So thank you once again for tuning in. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.